Brian back here. We're going to take a look at Caspa, take a look at the rest of the market here. Kind of get the feeling maybe everybody out there is doom and gloom, right? Bitcoin's going to crash, run down probably to the 90s. Could happen for sure, right? Yesterday, a lot of people were watching this. And check this out, right? You got your trend line right there, okay? You can see, now look at that drop right there. You know everybody was watching that. Short, what's Bitcoin do? Boom, runs right back up, right? Right back up here. Probably caught a lot of people here. Got, grabbed some liquidity and runs up. Now what's it doing? Well, you take a fib here. It's right on a 618. Quite honestly, I took a short right here. I put that over in Discord. Hit the 618 right on the head. Look at that, boom. Typical of an ABC correction, right? If this thing does an ABC here, you'd be looking at it pulling down to about 103, 104, right around there, right? If it runs up from here, it runs up, but looking like a possible correction right here. It's a good spot to take a short, very low risk. Your stop right up above it. We've been doing pretty well this week over there in Discord. Let me show you a few of these. Definitely got some nice trades this week over there. Let me see if I got them here. I'm sure I do. Yeah, there's a Solana long. Let's take a look here. We nailed a bunch of them this week. I don't know how many we took, but let's see where they're at here. Yeah, that's why I hate going through here. Sometimes I can find them, sometimes I can't. They're screenshots, so they should be, Anyway, we had a bunch of good trades this week. I don't know. I really don't know how many wins and losses. Maybe 10 wins and 4 losses. I don't even know. It was pretty good there. We had a pretty good run, 6 or 7 in a row. And honestly, should have been more than that. We had a few. I was up 600% on one trade, and then it rolled over. I counted that as a loss. And then I had a target of 70 cents on one, and it went up to 68 and rolled over, and I counted that as a loss. Technically, them were wins, right? So we had a pretty decent week there. If that interests you, that's a level 3 membership there in the description of the video. It's $15. Come in and join our group. We have 160 some members in there, and we'd love to have you, man. Come on over, try it out. This week alone, you would have, no guarantees, not financial advice at all. But this week alone, you would have done pretty well. Everybody did pretty good over there. We got some great people putting some great trades in there. I'll show you real quick our Discord here, just to give you an idea. See, we have people in there all day long. Rizzy's in there all the time. Diamond Hands, Ollie, right, yeah. Razman, these are all people. Ali right there, Ali 92. He posts a lot of good trades over there. Noted trader, that's a great trader right there, man. No doubt. Rizzy's really good. There's some really good ones in there. This was just the last, I don't know, half hour. So if that interests you, come over and join us. We would love to have you, man. Do pretty well over there. I got 25 people in there right now. It's a great spot to be in. We do a lot of great trades in there. Now, taking a look at Bitcoin. We zoom out here on a 12-hour. The question is this thing going to run up or is it going to run down? Right here on a 12-hour chart, you can see this correction. It's kind of it always wrong foots everybody, right? And that's what Bitcoin. That's what the charts do. To take your money. Now, is this legit? That I don't think it is. I think it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think this is just a black swan event. That wick in the count here. I'm not counting that. I think that correction is done. Now this thing could be moving up. You could have a a 1-2 started here, and I could get stopped out in this short here. I mean, this thing could take off and start heading to the upside. If it takes out 112,000, might be a good chance of it running back up here. Now, what could it do? Well, could run up a little bit higher, maybe for another ABC, a higher ABC, or if it takes out the top here, let's zoom out here on a weekly. You have 5 waves here. I've said this before. I said this the last video I did. Bitcoin could have topped. Could have, right? You got 5 waves. Does it do a big ABC here? And then that's it for Bitcoin? Possible. Altcoins got to take off yet. We have an alt season yet to go. I truly 100% believe in my heart that that's coming. Don't take that to the bank. You do your own research and your own thinking on that. But this trend line breaks, party's over, right? The RSI on the monthly, you can see it, bearish divergence. Had this high over here, lower high and a lower high. That's bearish divergence. Down here, same thing. This high, lower high, and a lower high, and the monthly is rolling over. The weekly, same deal, rolling over to the downside. And the daily, you got your daily coming up. What I'm wondering, is there a bigger A, B, C coming in here? When this breakdown happens, look out. But I truly believe that these altcoins, are going to run dominance. We've charted this. 60.55 is what I was looking at here. Is this wick? Does this wick count? I don't know. We measure off of it. That's 60.55 that I've been looking for. Would right be at a 382. Okay. I'd be looking for a rejection and a rollover. Heading to the downside here. We'll have to keep an eye and see what happens here. But on the RSI on the daily, you can see it marching up here, right? It's heading to the upside. The weekly, heading up. Maybe Bitcoin runs up, like I said, and does an ABC here. That would send Bitcoin dominance up. The monthly, right at the bottom, right? I mean, look at this thing. Common sense. It broke a trend line, a massive trend line that has held for years, right? I got my cat trying to jump on my laptop. She always has to be right near me. But you can see right here, this trend line broke, man. It started back here in October of 2022. 3 years this trend line has held, right? It broke. Running back up for retest and gonna roll over. It's gonna roll over, right? I don't care. I'm sticking to that. I truly believe that. Maybe some people out there have a different theory, and I could be completely wrong. That's always 100% possibility too. But last time dominance has got up here, you got the rollover, right? Same thing over here. Once it broke a support, that's when it rolled over. Right here was the trend line for this one coming up through. I don't know, put it right there. Right? Held this trend line from 2018 to February of 2021. 3 years. Then it broke down. Same thing, 3 years. Breaking down, right? So I totally believe that alt season is coming. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. As far as Caspa goes over here, I still, this thing still could. I'm looking for a move to the upside. That's what I'm looking for here from Kaspa. All right, maybe a 5 wave up here, but I think this bottom has come in. We're gonna know once we get down. Gee, sorry about that. She did it anyway. I apologize, but you can see here. I was looking for a pullback down into this range, and then a sling to the upside. All right, which would kind of make sense over here. This is a 1-day chart. All right, if we take a look here, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down. Target for this would be right down there at about 4 cents. 4 cents. I mean, this is already retraced back to the beginning over here on the daily. We get just a tiny push up here and then probably a rollover down to 4 cents, and I'll be looking to long this thing. The daily RSI, you can see here on the bottom, we got some bullish divergence. We do, it could take off from here. I kind of doubt it because it hasn't come down, retraced to an area that would be typical for a bounce yet. That's anywhere from 4.4 to 3.1, right in that range. But the measured move would put it right about 4 cents. The weekly, look at that. The weekly's about reset on the bottom, and the monthly is right on the bottom. All right, so Caspa is set up. It looks like it is set up. The 12-hour, what do we got here? Right down near the bottom, right? Let's look at the 4. I mean, we just need not much of a push down here, right? The 4-hour looking a little weak, right? We zoom in on this, looking for this wave here to come down right around the 4 cent area. Let's take a look. It's a target on here. All right, if you go up this wave here, you got 4.2, 4.27. Anywhere from 4 to 4.3, right in that range. It looks like is the target for this. So let's pull this up a little bit, and we're gonna go with that, right? Looking for a bounce in this area, around right around the 4 cent range. It looks like, somewhere right around there. Let's pull this up a little here. Right about there, right? I'll be looking for a bottom on this thing and watching for it to go. Another thing here, you can even count the waves in here. Right up here, you got a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Right there you go. The 4-hour looks like it's going to roll over. Should come down and reset. You should have everything reset then. The 4-hour rolling over. The 8-hour. The 8-hour is down. It's still down near the bottom, not up top. That's you got your 12. Look at that, right in the middle, right near the bottom on the regular RSI, and you got the other ones ready to go. I mean, they're right in that range, right? Right down near the bottom here, and doesn't have far to go. Probably roll over, come down, and swoosh back up. All right, not a whole lot. Let's see, percentage-wise. If it comes down, I could be totally wrong. Well, it's still a 20% drop. All right, so you could be watching. You could see Bitcoin run up here for a little bit, but the altcoins are going to get their turn. I like I said, I believe that. Your crypto bubbles over here for the day. Pretty decent day out there. Got some stuff bouncing. Even have Bitcoin doing fairly well. But I think, like I said, I think the end is near. I believe for Bitcoin for the week. Not that bad really. Kaspa, or that's KuCoin, down 4% for the week. For the month, down 35%. That made a big difference, right? Yeah, for the month, we've taken a pretty decent beating, and that's going to push people out of the market, for sure. Fear and greed's at a 28. Altcoin season's at a 25, right? I mean, you got people seeing this stuff, and they're like, oh my God, this shit's out, man. If we come over here and look at, what did I want to go to here? Fear and greed index, the altcoin, the market cycle top indicator. Let's take a look and see if any of those have triggered, right? I'm kind of curious here. Crypto, let's see here, dashboards, market cycle indicators. And yesterday that move, it's going to wrong foot you. It always does, right? So With Bitcoin, makes you wonder. And zero of these have gone. Market cycle top indicators 0 out of 30. One of them triggered like a week ago. The last video I did, none. 0 out of 30. Right. So here you go. You're over here. It would have a green check if it triggered. None of them have triggered yet. Right. So you never know. Maybe Bitcoin has another run in it. Maybe it's going to head up to 130s and then roll over. We're going to have to just take this as it comes and see what happens here, right, with that. Let's check this out again. Let's take a look at this chart real quick. 110, 267. That short's working out so far. If we come in, let's go in on a daily. You had your 5 waves here. We're going to see what happens. If it comes up, right, let's take a look. Put this fib on top. It's kind of the scary part too. On a bigger time frame, do you have a 5-wave down starting here? You got 382. Now the area that I am most interested in with Bitcoin, if it runs back up, is right here. At 119, the 618 to 702. If it can make it through there, maybe it heads up towards that 140. Maybe it has another run in it yet. It's very possible. With the bearish divergence, all the divergences are pointing to the downside. To see what happens here. If it starts running up past 112, it would be a good sign for Bitcoin. But once it gets up to, if it gets up to this area, I'm wondering, right? Our alt season would start probably right here on the C leg, if that's what happens. If it has another run up yet, maybe we're waiting a little bit longer for an alt season here, but I definitely think it's coming. Keep an eye up in this area, guys. I think that if it gets up there, that's going to be a real key area right up in here. You're going to want to see it break through the 119.7. 119.7 to get a run back up to the upside. And also you're going to have to be careful here. Is it on this end? Does it stop right here? And that's where it starts heading down, and the altcoin season starts there. It's kind of all up in the air right now. That bearish divergence really got me wondering about this thing. That's what we're gonna have to really watch here. You got that, like I said, that daily's heading up, the weekly rolling over, bearish divergence, lower highs, higher highs on price, monthly. The bearish divergences here. If you open this up, you can see them a lot better. See my white line? See that high, lower high, and on price, they were higher. This one here, then you had a higher one, then a higher one. So gonna have to watch and see what happens here. But I'm hanging in there. I totally believe this alt season's coming, and I think Caspa has another run in it. Thanks a lot, guys. Come join us in Discord. Sign up for that level 3. I'll talk to you soon.